I want to talk about how we can eat our way to a healthier planet. Unbelievable as it might sound, we can actually have our cake and eat it too. Today I'd like to talk to you about plant-based foods, their climate potential and how we can unleash it through the power of open source. When I say plant-based foods, I'm referring to an emerging wave of food products that are composed of plants, but made to taste like traditional meat, dairy, and seafood products. Most notably, startups like Impossible Foods and Beyond Meat have captured the world's collective imagination with their plant-based burgers that sizzle, smell, and bleed like meat. Sales of plant-based foods have been growing fast. According to the Good Food Institute, the USA saw sales of all plant-based foods grow by 43% over the past 2 years. That's 2.5 times faster than total food sales. Today, plant-based milks accounts for 15% of total milk sales, while plant-based meats make up just over 2% of all meat sales. What started as a non-existent category is beginning to gain traction in the market, and the seeds of this change are taking place in many other countries around the world. Now, this could be huge for the environment. As a sector, agriculture contributes a quarter of total greenhouse gas emissions, with livestock production directly responsible for a third of that. In a sense, every beef burger we eat is contributing to that statistic. On the other hand, early life cycle studies estimate that plant-based burgers avoid as much as 90% of carbon dioxide emissions per burger, and up to 70 to 90% less water. The basis is clear. Growing and eating plants is more climate efficient compared to growing plants to feed to animals and eating those same animals in return. By choosing differently, by eating differently, we can eat our way to reducing greenhouse gases and to a healthier planet. Great as these numbers might sound, plant-based foods carry their own fair share of issues that might stymie its proliferation on our plates. First off, plant-based foods are not cheap. Here in Singapore, plant-based burger patties are on average 30% more expensive than a traditional beef patty of the same weight. Second, these products are not necessarily healthy. While they might look better and lower in saturated fat and sodium content than beef, when you stack up the nutritionals against plants, we've clearly got some work to do. They also contain unnecessary and sometimes unhealthy additives and ingredients to make up for flavor and texture. And lastly, a majority of these products are based on a few core ingredients like soy or pea. While these ingredients make for a good workhorse for product formulation, they are further deepening our reliance on a few key crops and the associated dangers of monocropping. How then can we unleash the potential of plant-based foods? How can we enable plant-based burgers to do good better? To be good for the planet, to be good for our health, and to be good for our wallets? To answer that, I'd like to tell you about my obsession with lentils. I adore lentils. The texture, the flavor, the variety. Cook it in a stew, fry it up in a curry, or grind it into flour to make dosas. This ancient food is the stuff of life. And it's super nutritious and good for soil health as well. So I wanted to make a lentil burger the other day, and I didn't know where to start. So I went online to look for recipes. I came across Sarah's blog, where she talked about how over 20 iterations, she had perfected her version of the classic lentil burger recipe. Through 5 pages with detailed tips, tricks, the full recipe and instructions, as well as instructional videos and step-by-step photos, she broke down how I could replicate the same thing at home. Reading Sarah's blog really gave me a leg up in terms of avoiding costly, expensive mistakes. Don't use red lentils because they mush up. Use green lentils instead. Freeze the patties in the fridge for an hour so that it doesn't fall apart in your pan. Sarah helped me to avoid many different costly do-overs by helping me to anticipate issues I had not thought of previously. And she went on further, explaining how to swap out certain ingredients. Want to make it fully vegan? Here's how you can use flax seeds to make an egg-like binder instead. Not a fan of Worcestershire sauce? Here are some spices to use to bring that umami flavor. Scrolling down the comments section then, I came across Cynthia's comments asking how one could make the same patty but in the oven instead. Another reader, Matthew, chimed in to share his own adaptations and tweaks to make it in the oven but with specific changes in the recipe. We don't often think about it, but the online recipe community is very much an open source community. With a click, anyone, anywhere in the world can learn how to make a new dish from scratch. and tap on the wisdom of experienced chefs. Want to replace ingredients? Here's an alternative to use again. Don't have the right equipment? Other readers can chime in and share what has worked for them and what hasn't. And through all of this, we as a community can support the author for sharing their creativity through affiliate links and clicks. Now, what's stopping us from translating that same spirit to food in a manufacturing setting? Imagine an open source community for plant-based burgers, a place that anyone can turn to help bring their plant-based burger ideas to life. Products that are necessarily healthy, affordable, and attuned to the ingredients and palates of the local communities. Imagine an intellectual commons where scientists, engineers, chefs can openly and actively share their ideas, a place where they are rewarded for sharing their creativity rather than simply which innovation makes the most money. To take it a step further, what if we could come together as a scientific and innovation community to create the gold standard of a plant-based burger and open that up to the world? We would be able to empower people all over the world who have the heart to do good better. We can pair the passion of these entrepreneurs, local businesses, and home chefs with the wisdom and knowledge of industry veterans and experts. We wouldn't just be launching another plant-based burger. We would be enabling the launch of 1 billion plant-based burgers that are necessarily good for the planet, good for your health, and good for your wallet. This is a phenomenal opportunity we have, but it needs a serious rework of how we think about food, cooperation, innovation, and capital. I want to invite you back into the kitchen to look where I am looking so that you can see what I am seeing, that we can indeed eat our way to a healthier planet. Thank you.